as a focal point for classroom discussions, as a follow-up to magazine articles and other reading, or as a launchpad for outside research and study. Video enhances. By working in conjunction with Junior Scholastic and Scholastic News, the Scholastic NBC News Video helps teachers explore interesting topics in a new and exciting way. Plus, each video comes with additional tools to help you create a true multimedia experience for your students. Background information so you can be prepared for student questions and classroom discussions. Maps, charts, graphs, tables, and more. Video, an important tool to help students understand a changing world. Each Scholastic NBC News video will be approximately 15 to 20 minutes long, with up to 5 individual segments, all focused on a central theme, like the environment, science and technology, and the cultures of our nation and our world. The Scholastic NBC News videos have been specifically designed for the classroom to interest students of all ages, so you can use them in the way that best suits your students' individual learning styles. For more than 70 years, Scholastic Classroom magazines have introduced America's students to the people, places, events, and ideas that have shaped our world. Now, Scholastic has joined forces with NBC News and with thematic links to articles and activities in Junior Scholastic and Scholastic News. The new Scholastic NBC News videos, the impact of television, the power of print, made easy to use for the very first time. Scholastic NBC News Video, The Challenge of the Presidency. Reported by NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
The performance of the economy in the last 3.5 years is the worst in 50 years.
The biggest problems facing America today are not the problems we read about in the newspapers. They're the problems inside our own hearts and minds. For so many Americans today have been let down for so long by their government that they've given up. They don't have any hope that the future can be better than the present. They don't really believe that we can be part of one big American family again. I do.
President Clinton takes office during tough times.
I've been unemployed for about 3 years, and I've been constantly putting applications, about 25 applications a week.
Companies have closed factories and fired workers. Many Americans blamed former President George Bush for the bad economy. Voters said they wanted a change, so they elected Bill Clinton president. During the campaign, Clinton talked a lot about his plans for building a better future. He promised that he would focus most of his attention on domestic problems. But the challenges he faces are huge. Over the next 100 days, the American people will be watching to see if he can make the tough decisions and provide the leadership necessary to solve our complex and difficult problems.
If we would make
Past presidents have faced similar challenges.
I say we must act now.
In 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected president. FDR took office during the Depression. There were few jobs and many people went hungry because there was no money to buy food. FDR launched new government programs to give people jobs. The next president, Harry Truman, had to rebuild Europe, which had been destroyed during World War II. And Dwight Eisenhower faced what many Americans believed was a growing threat from the Soviet Union. The rivalry between these two superpowers came to be known as the Cold War.
Every thoughtful citizen who despairs of war and wishes to bring peace should begin by looking inward, by examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War, and towards freedom and peace here at home.
John F. Kennedy was president from 1961 to 1963. During his presidency, the Cold War almost turned into a real one. The United States and the Soviet Union did not trust each other. Each country tried to make sure it could win a war if one ever started. To show its superiority, the United States put great effort into the space program. And while much was accomplished through space exploration, back on Earth there were still many problems.
Surely a nation that can go to the moon can place a decent home within the reach of its families.
Lyndon Johnson took over when President Kennedy was assassinated. Then in 1964, he was elected in his own right. One of Johnson's greatest challenges was to bring people of different races together. In the South, African Americans marched for the end of segregation and demanded equal rights. Lyndon Johnson also had a war to contend with. U.S. troops were fighting in Vietnam, a country in Southeast Asia. Young people were dying, and the war was unpopular with many Americans. Bringing peace to Vietnam was the challenge faced by the 38th President, Richard Nixon. He felt in order to bring the war to an end, troops had to fight harder.
We take this action not for the purpose of expanding the war into Cambodia, but for the purpose of ending the war in Vietnam and winning the just peace we all desire.
When Ronald Reagan took office, he needed to make the economy strong and bring inflation down. Like past presidents, Mr. Clinton has his work cut out for him, too. The new president says he wants a better future for the young people of America. A future with a strong economy, affordable health care for all, a safe environment with clean air and clean water, and a country where all can live without hatred or prejudice. But the president can't go it alone. He must work closely with leaders of other countries and with Congress. One of the biggest challenges of all may be to create a partnership with the American people that inspires them to work for change.
The Economy, reported by NBC's Mike Jensen.
Our national debt is an economic ball and chain dragging us down.
Without a doubt, the greatest challenge Mr. Clinton faces as president is the economy. Words like sluggish, budget gap, and deficit are used by experts to describe our economy. Translated into everyday language, that simply means that there aren't enough jobs to go around.
We want jobs!
That a lot of people who are working are making less money, that the government doesn't have enough to spend on new projects, and that there's concern about America being able to compete with other countries like Germany and Japan. When the economy is bad, almost everyone suffers. Although things are improving slightly, Mr. Clinton has ideas for making them even better. Before he took office, he gathered more than 300 economists and business and labor leaders from all over the country to help figure out a plan.
The American dream is collapsing all around America for millions of families, youths, and children in all races and classes.
One of Mr. Clinton's most important messages is that a quick fix, putting lots of people on the government payroll, won't do the trick. The U.S. economy, he says, is crippled and needs to be rebuilt. To compete with other countries, he says the U.S. and its companies need to invest in new technology and research and to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. Things like this 80-year-old bridge in Denver. It's one of the main routes into the city. There's a sign warning drivers that it's unsafe for heavy trucks. And Denver has no money to fix this bridge. In New York City, there are a lot of projects waiting, but again, no money for them. Only half of New York's construction workers have jobs. Mr. Clinton would like to put Americans to work on long-term projects, putting up buildings, fixing bridges, and improving railways and roadways. But all that would cost billions, and the government's already spending a lot more than it's taking in taxes. Still, Mr. Clinton says investing in America and in Americans, in education, for example, is the only way to fix an ailing economy and to guarantee a bright future.
Health, reported by NBC's Robert Bazell.
Arthur Morissette has 6 children and no job. He was laid off. When he lost his job, He also lost his health insurance.
We just don't have medical coverage and are living from month to month. You do the best you can.
Cheryl Gressick and her husband have jobs. They own their own business. But they lost their health insurance when their son Daniel was born with a heart condition. The insurance company said their medical bills would be too high for the company to pay. In just 2 months, Mr. and Mrs. Gressick have spent $150,000 of their own money to help make Daniel well. Over 35 million Americans are like Mr. and Mrs. Gressick, no health insurance. That means they have no way to pay for expensive medical care when they get sick. Many more Americans are afraid they could lose their health insurance if they lose their job or if a family member gets very sick. Mr. Clinton has 2 goals. One, to spend less on health care, and the other, to make sure all Americans have access to medical treatment.
If I could wave a magic wand tomorrow and do one thing for this economy, I would bring health costs in line with inflation and provide a basic package for everybody, because 8 years from now, that would free up more money for people to invest in their children's education and for business to invest in the plants and the production and the jobs of the future than any other thing we could do.
In order for President Clinton to meet the challenge of bringing down health care costs and making sure everyone can get treatment if they are sick, he must have the cooperation of insurers and the U.S. Congress, which makes our country's laws. President Clinton and others will have to figure out how to make the system fair to everyone, and more importantly, figure out who will pay the bill. There are hard choices to be made. There is not enough money for everyone to get all the treatment they want. Under the Clinton administration, will Daniel's parents be able to pay for his heart condition? That's one of the toughest challenges in Mr. Clinton's presidency.
The environment, reported by NBC's Jamie Gangel.
We have serious responsibilities to preserve the land, the water, and the air. I remember back in 1978 when I first ran for governor, I asked my great uncle in Hope, Arkansas, who's got a grade school education and 150 IQ, who he was going to vote for a bunch of other offices. He said, I don't care, and I wouldn't care who was governor if you weren't kin to me, except I just want to be able to hunt and fish and run my feet in a spring that's clean in the springtime.
Cleaning up the rivers and the air, protecting wildlife and forests, and finding energy sources that don't pollute without costing American jobs. These are some of the goals President Bill Clinton would like to accomplish while in office. Vice President Al Gore has been so concerned about the environment that he's written a book about it.
We can create millions of new jobs by leading the environmental revolution. We should ask ourselves, why are Germany and Japan now openly saying that the biggest new market in the history of world business is the market for the new, more efficient products and processes that make it possible to have economic progress without destroying the environment?
Having a president and a vice president who are interested in environmental issues is good news for these kids. They're part of a group which calls itself YES. That stands for Youth for Environmental Sanity. They organize other kids to clean up the earth.
This is our future, and that you do care about it, and that you do want a safer place to grow up in.
But some people believe Americans will have to sacrifice jobs to clean up the environment.
I don't vote yet. I'm 15 years old. The point is that when am I and when are the people of my age going to matter to you?
But President Clinton and Vice President Gore believe that cleaning up the environment could help create new jobs. They want the United States to take the lead in inventing new technologies that create less pollution and put people to work saving the planet. And they want the young people of this country to continue to be concerned about the air they breathe and the water they drink.
Coming Together, reported by NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
We don't have to be coming apart when we should be coming together. If we can make the American people believe that we can turn this country around, we will.
Not guilty of the crime of assault by force.
4 white California police officers are found innocent by an all-white jury in the brutal beating of a black man named Rodney King. Minutes after the verdict came down, decades of anger over the way African Americans have been treated in this country seethed to the surface. People took to the streets. The city of Los Angeles went up in flames. For many, Rodney King became an instant and powerful symbol of the tensions between the races. The riots of Los Angeles resulted in lost lives, lost livelihoods, and lost neighborhoods. In the aftermath, Americans began to realize that despite some progress in race relations, there was still a long way to go. African Americans, women, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, and many other ethnic peoples want equal opportunity, and they want their contributions recognized. Our country is made up of many different cultures. President Clinton and others believe that the diversity of our country is often underrepresented in everything from what students learn in schools to our government.
I've also pledged to the American people that my cabinet will look more like America than previous administrations. As I've said before, I think the great diversity of this nation can and must be a source of strength as we face the challenges that lie ahead.
America, the great mosaic, we live in harmony.
President Clinton has promised that bringing people together will be an important message of his administration. But the problems of racism, discrimination, and intolerance cannot be solved by the president alone. This is one challenge that everyone faces, and all around the country, there are people who are trying to bring America together.
We're all one family. America, the great mosaic, we live in harmony. America, the great mosaic, we're all one family. Love makes us strong.
A Scholastic NBC News Video Bonus, Somalia.
These are the people of Somalia. Somalia is a country in the Horn of Africa. It has been without a government for 2 years. There is much fighting there, and as it is with war, the innocent people are the ones who seem to suffer the most. Warring factions, or clans as they are called, are keeping food and medicine away from the millions who need it. Many people have starved to death or are at risk. So many that the U.S. and other nations have decided to help. Troops were sent into Somalia to clear the path for relief supplies to get through to the interior of the country. That's where most of the fighting and looting has taken place. That's where most of the suffering has occurred.
Go now!
So it's up to the armies of the United States, France, Canada, and other countries to keep the peace in a lawless land and keep the children fed and well until order can be restored.
Scholastic NBC News Video. Delivered 4 times during the 1993-94 school year. Free with orders of 10 or more student subscriptions to Scholastic News, grades 3 to 6, and Junior Scholastic. Each video is correlated to articles in Scholastic News and Junior Scholastic. Each video is commercial-free. To place a 1993-94 order or for more information, call us at 1-800-631-1586. Scholastic NBC News Video.